obviously not the best kept secret over the last couple of days, but this is a great moment for us, and a lot of work went into the announcement that we just made. Now it's a bit unusual not having a formal presser with the new coach here. It's critical to Caleb that this announcement not be a distraction from what he's focused on with the Zips right now and winning an NCAA title. It's a testament to his character. You know, from the very beginning, it was always clear he was committed to Akron through the 2012 season. He's got a couple quotes in the release today, but that's going to be the extent of his media availability until we're able to blow this out in mid-December when he starts, and we'll do a formal press conference. You know, as I said, a long, thorough process. We've talked to a lot of people, some really, really excellent coaching candidates out there. But, you know, it became clear that to Gavin and to me, and you know, for a variety of reasons, that this guy's the right guy. It's the right guy to grow this team. Just a unique talent. You know, expectations are very clear. Understanding of the levels of support that he's going to have. He spent a lot of time, as I said, with Gavin and me. You know, getting a great feel for you know, again, expectations on both sides. He gets this organization. Knows a lot of the players on this team. We got a lot of young talent on this team. And this is a coach who's a cerebral coach. He's a great leader, a great tactician. He's extremely reflective. You know, I think that you know, he's poised to do some great things, but you know, we've got to give this time to grow as well. You know, and that's something that I want to be clear about from day one as well. You know, it was very. You know what? You guys can cut my soliloquy here and start firing Q&A if you want.
What about his experience, and whether it be the tremendous experience he's had at Akron, or his experience with the under-23s, or the lack of MLS experience? Just talk about some of the factors that went into the positives and perhaps some of the weaknesses perhaps that had to be overcome within the interview process.
Well, I mean, I always said it was a prerequisite to have a coach who understands MLS. You know, I never said that we needed a guy who'd been an MLS coach. This is a guy who's played in MLS, has coached MLS players recently, has a very good understanding of the league, respect for the league, understands the American player. In terms of the Olympic experience, you know, it's really the first adversity that he's had in many ways, and talking with him extensively about that experience, what he learned from that experience, his thoughts, you know, really showed me the level of intellectual curiosity he has about his craft. You know, that was something I actually, you know, in some ways see that as a positive. Look, he lost one game, had a great result with that team against Mexico early on in the process, and then when you know, in soccer anything can happen on any one given game, but it was never about excuses or anything like that. Again, very reflective individuals. So, you know, could we have brought in a guy who's a tried and true MLS head coach, and you know, year one we're just going to go for broke, and you know, maybe, but you know, clearly Caleb is 37 years old, and I think that makes him the third youngest coach in the league. But this is about trying to build something special in elite, and there's not many people, I think, who have the capability and talent that he has. I mean, he's been a sought-after coach in this league. This isn't the first offer he's received, and he's very ambitious. He wanted to make sure he chose the right opportunity when he got it. And this is a powerful platform in the world of soccer. I mean, the Portland Timbers are helping shape and grow the sport of soccer in North America like few clubs in the league. He gets that, and he gets our vision. You know, there's a real good understanding between him and Gavin about that vision. So, again, it's something I feel really good about.
Merritt, can you talk about what the actual interview process was like? Did you go out to Ohio? Did he come here? How did that sort of work?
Well, we had sort of 8 finalists. that we were in serious discussions with, and then a short list of 3. I'm not going to get into those names. I referenced yesterday some inaccurate rumors. Some of those rumors that I'm specifically talking about were people who were cited as being finalists who were not in fact finalists. But all the interviews, were conducted, privately. I'll say that I've watched Timbers games on the road with Caleb. Gavin and Caleb have been on road trips, to go look at some other games. There's been a lot of time spent with him, a lot of time spent with all our candidates. But this has been an ongoing discussion and a detailed discussion. And he needed to make sure this was the right fit, and we needed to make sure this was the right fit. And I feel so much better prepared at this point in time, to go through this process than we were certainly out of the chute. And that's not indicting any individual or anything, just in terms of the questions that we're asking. But ultimately, this is Gavin's, the position reports to Gavin, and Gavin had a 110% endorse this position, and he was Gavin's guy. You guys can talk to him later on, very, very early on.
What was the tipping point with him, though? What was the key number one factor that made him the ideal number one candidate?
It's not one thing. It's a combination of all the qualities we're looking for. I mean, it's a lot of ingredients that go into making a great coach, and you talk about the cultural fit as well. That's really, really important. Is the coach going to be a great man manager and leader of young men and developer of young talent, but still be able to deal with older professional players as well? I mean, again, the one thing that was always illuminating to me in talking to Caleb, was there's a confidence, but there's also an understanding of, he's continued to progress and get better, and he's always looking to learn and always looking to improve. And to me, I can't tell you how refreshing that is to hear.
Merritt, how can fans look for the philosophy change on the pitch for Caleb?
Well, I think you're going to be seeing. I mean, we've talked about it in the last several days. Caleb will bring in his own system, but in terms of the philosophy of a possession-oriented attack and some of the things that Gavin was talking about, we're going to be widening the field. Those decisions were certainly made, prior to bringing in Caleb. I think that's something we were looking for, no matter who we chose to be the head coach. But that's probably a better question for Gavin than me. But that's my 2 cents on that.
Now, what do you think? Why do you think he's going to be able to deal with professional players at this level? And what did he do to give you confidence that he's going to?
Again, Jeffrey, a variety of things. I mean, look, Bruce Arena was a first-time MLS head coach when he made the leap. As was Jason Kreis, as was Dom Kinnear. A lot of the best coaches in the league. At the end of the day, there's got to be a feeling that it's the right fit, and there's some leap of faith that you take with any hire. But again, this was a detailed process and one that we feel good about.
Merritt, did Caleb approach you as a player? Did you see him out at the starting process?
It was a mutual interest from the get-go. I mean, we had a lot of interest in this job. I can't tell you. I mean, I interviewed a coach who was recently at the helm of one of the top English Premier League teams, who was interested in the Timbers. A lot of interest out there, no shortage of great candidates. But again, this has got to be the right long-term fit. As much as I enjoy chatting with all you guys, I don't plan on making a habit of sitting up here with coach hiring and firing press conferences.
You said yesterday that you talked to Bradley a little bit, just kind of bouncing ideas that sounded like off of him a little bit back and forth. Was he ever a viable candidate?
He's focused on Egypt and getting Egypt to the World Cup. I probably talked to Jurgen more than I did with Bob. I did talk with Jurgen more than I did with Bob. Obviously, he knows Caleb really well and had a lot of thoughts. But Bob, is a guy you got to get insight from as well, and talk to him about a lot of the candidates we looked at. I talked to a lot of people, and as did Gavin. So it may seem like, what is it? It's been like 2 months or something like that since we've formally been in a coach search, but a lot's gone on in that time.
Is it hard to be patient, knowing that he's not going to have the job for 4 or 5 months?
Not really. I mean, it's going to be a soft landing for him. He can stay focused on the Zips. I mean, I think Akron should be really proud of a guy that honors that commitment. And, again, he wants to go out on top. He's got, arguably the #1 college program in the country. Right now, he feels a lot of loyalty to his players. He's talking to them right now. So, got to respect that. And everybody's going to have all the access they could ever want and more to Caleb when he's official here. I think it's, somewhere around December 15th.
What have you told the staff?
The staff's just aware of this decision. They have been for a little bit.
As far as their future, obviously.
Oh,
beyond
the
this
coaching
year.
staff?
Yeah.
We've got a good staff in place. Ultimately, it's incumbent on the coach to come in and make his own evaluations and do what he needs to. I mean, I think, certainly he's already spent some time with some staff, and, we've got in guys like Sean McCauley and, Toshak. We've got some really capable folks here.
What do you think, going through this process now a couple of times, what do you think you've learned most?
It's funny. I mean, I was joking with Taylor Twellman, who does this. You guys all know Taylor. He does this podcast, and he referred to me as Jerry Jones in MLS. I'm like, Taylor, do you have any clue what you're talking about? Jerry Jones is the GM of the team. Since I've been here, I have never once said a player plays, despite your wishes. I've never once said trade for this guy, don't trade for this guy. I've supported every move that I've really let the soccer guys do the soccer thing. Now, I need to be able to evaluate at the end of the day. I mean, the buck stops with me, and I want to have a communication with coach and our GM, understand how they're thinking. That helps me evaluate. Some coaches, again, that's never overbearing. I mean, it's not something that happens, a lot, and I'm not hovering around the locker room. But just in terms of the questions, really understanding how a coach prepares, from a game ending one Saturday to getting ready for that next Saturday game. What's his process like? How's he thinking about tactical decisions? How's he dealing with this scenario or this scenario? There are a lot of real world examples that I had coming off my last experience that I was very focused on, and I wanted there to be just a very, very crystal clear understanding of expectations and support among all sides. And the Gavin relationship was really important too, and the fact that, they had a real good feel for each other.
Quality, just quality as a coach. He's very well respected, and I think he approaches the game the same way that the organisation wants to see the game played. And for us, he gives us everything we need in that category.
How will it change the product on the field with Caleb?
To be decided. I think there's going to be an assessment period for the coaching staff, for the players, and look at a way to move forward. I know that he wants to play, he wants to dominate possession, he wants to play in a similar way to how we're playing right now, but hopefully a little bit better results. And so, wants to keep the ball, wants to move the ball, wants to create chances pretty much at will and play dominating soccer. So that's what we're expecting, that's what we're hoping.
Do you have any input into how you're playing right now?
No, we looked at what our strengths were as a team. We looked at what our needs were. We also looked at what we wanted to be as an organisation, the philosophy of the organisation, and how we wanted to be respected and how we wanted to be viewed, and it's part of our identity. So in choosing the coach, it fits the identity.
Gavin, earlier you said some of the decisions that were going to be made with the roster maybe have something to do with the coach coming in. Any of those moves reflective of Caleb's philosophy?
All I would say is that as a coaching staff, we'll take full responsibility for the moves that have been made. But, as I've stated, that various individuals have been consulted, and maybe he's one of those, but that's all I'll say on that matter.
Has he seen a home game?
What was that, sorry?
Has he seen a home game here?
Many home games. Also flew him into LA, watched the LA Galaxy game, also went and watched another game with him, so spent a considerable amount of time with him.
What impresses you the most?
Taking some weight off your shoulders now that you guys have made this decision to make the move?
Yes, I suppose so. To be completely honest, it's nice to have somebody in that I feel very comfortable working with and looking forward to the future of Caleb being here. And also it gives us a joint partner in evaluating the current talent that we have, and also looking at the direction going forward and what we have going forward. But for right now, we need to get things right. We need to improve on the result from Vancouver and see if we can continue to move forward as an organisation, so we have less problems to solve going into next year.
How much did you talk with Darlington in terms of getting his opinion on this new coach?
Minimal. Very quick conversation. Just he's a player. So with all players, very, very minimal. For me, with Darlington, do you respect him? What did you respect about him? What do you think of the assets that he brings? A very quick conversation, and as you would expect, Darlington was very, very high on everything he had to say about Caleb Porter. We also spoke to a few other players that are successful players in MLS that have played for Caleb. So, we spoke to many players, many individuals, a couple of players, other people that have worked with Caleb, and everything was very positive.
Merritt said you were a huge proponent of his, and obviously spent a lot of time with him. What was it about him that put him on top of what was a very talented list of candidates?
I think the ability to problem solve, to look at the game in a reflective way, and also to look at all the pieces surrounding the game and using those to form a decision. I think with Caleb, he's an intellectual individual, and he analyses the game, sits back, he lives and breathes the game, which is a big positive. And for me, it was very easy to communicate with him about the team, about the individual players. We agreed on a couple of things and disagreed, and the disagreements were very healthy.
Philosophically, was it important for you to go young again, or were you have older candidates, more seasoned in MLS, in your final list?
There was definitely some very seasoned candidates within our list, and ultimately it came down to not the experience or not having a seasoned candidate, but what we felt was right for the club moving forward. And you're looking at the philosophy, you're looking at the identity, you're looking at the culture, you're looking at the fit of that individual, and with Caleb, he was the right guy.
What were your feelings on him wanting to finish out the season?
I respect those completely. I think he's made a commitment to the players at Akron, and you've got to respect him for that. He's gone into this program, he's recruited those players for this year, and he's fulfilling a promise to those players. I think it's very, very important, and our players fully understand, and I think it's the right thing for Caleb. As long as he's watching the games and we're in contact, there won't be many negatives.
What's the mindset of the club right now?
It's extremely positive. I think the result against Vancouver, being a Cascadia rival, obviously helps. The fans getting that result obviously helps. There's still a lot to go. We've got 9 games in the season remaining, and we want to end the season on a high as possible. So for us, we're going to continue to look at the players that we've got. We're going to continue to evaluate them and continue to improve the way in which we play. But if you start to look at the way in which we have been playing, I think the results will come.
I was going to say, how excited are you that the scoring is up so much as compared to before?
Yeah, I'm excited, but we've got to stop it at the other end, don't we? So you go on the road and you score 2 goals in each game, and those are games that in the future we will be getting more out of as we mature as a group and hold teams out and keep our shape a lot more. But there's some positives to build on, and we're all excited.
Gavin, you had trouble winning the next game.
Next question. That's okay.
You had trouble winning the next game. I think you've only had like 3 back-to-back wins since you've been consistent.
Yep.
What do you do to try to make that happen, and what's been the problem that you're trying to overcome?
We're addressing the problem. The solution we'll find out if we have that. That's simply put. But we've challenged the guys. I don't think we have won back-to-back games this year. And for the guys, that's a challenge. We hadn't scored 2 goals on the road, and then we do it in consecutive games. So for me, it's another box that we have to tick off. We have to show that mentally we're strong enough and we're maturing as a team to come out and get a good result. I think the job isn't done. We came out, we played well. We've worked very, very hard to get that result, and now we have to be willing to work that hard again, if not a little bit harder, to get the next result.
When you talk to him about the under-23 experience, what conclusions did both of you come to in talking about his experience with that group?
That he learned an awful lot, that he was very reflective on the U23 experience. He analysed it from every aspect possible, and in his words, he failed. In my opinion, he didn't really fail because he could identify where things went wrong, and it's a program that's difficult to be successful with. You have a short time span in which to prepare and which to get everybody on the same page, and the players from all accounts, and speaking to the federation and other, and speaking to Jurgen, the players were on board. The players understood that was what was wanted, and that's football. It came down to 1 game and 1 goal that stopped them from progressing through to the Olympics. But for Caleb, he was honest in his assessment. He was honest in his assessment of the players and what he may have done differently. But the fact that he reflected on it and actually would have changed things was a big positive.
What was the team's reaction to that? What do you think was the challenge for them in the period between the end of the season and making the World?
Mentally staying strong if they have a bad game, knowing that somebody is on the outside looking in and that they don't want that bad game to define them. So for them, it's a matter of their attitudes, consistency and training. All of those things will be reported. It's also their effort and attitude in games. Everyone's capable of having a bad game, but it's their attitude and how hard they work within that moment that we're going to be looking at closely. So for players, it's staying engaged, knowing that they're a part of the plans, and it's up to us to make sure that's communicated.
The widening of the field is what impact will that have on the game?
I think we'll be able to control the possession a little bit more. We'll actually be able to play a more fluid style. We'll be able to get the ball down and play. We're trying that at the moment, but with the increased width, I think we'll be able to play a little bit better quality of football. We'll be able to isolate defenders a little bit more one-on-one, where there's hopefully more space to go at. And we do have a very athletic team. I think the change in the size of the field is part of the philosophy and the identity of the organisation as well. But you know, I think it's going to be beneficial to us, and that was a decision that was made from the onset, and I think Caleb playing the way that he wants to play with the personnel that interests him will be very effective.
Everything you've had on your plate, Gavin, how relieved are you to have this over with?
This is one thing that's off the plate, so it's tremendous. There's a lot more to do for the rest of the season. I've got to start picking up some of the scouting responsibilities again, getting in towards the end of next year and starting to look at next year. But, you know, it's something that was very, very important to us, and we've spent a lot of hours getting this done, but there's still a lot of hours left to put into continuing to develop this product. We're not happy, obviously.
You said you talked to Jurgen about Caleb. What about Bradley in this process? Was he a candidate for this job?
Bradley was not a candidate, but he was somebody that was spoken to for quite some time by Merrit Paulson about all the candidates to get his input. I think he's a very well-respected coach. He's been there and done that. He's coached the national team now. He's successful overseas. So he was somebody that we did speak. We'd identified him as an individual that we needed to get their input on.
Gavin, why did you feel that it was important to make this decision before your season was over, rather than waiting until the end of the season?
I think one, it was clarity on the coach's side, understanding what his future holds and being able to get it out there. It's impossible to keep a secret nowadays with the social media, etc. So it was important that once we finalised the deal that we did make it public, also for his integrity at Akron. I think with his relationship with the players, the relationship that I have with the players here and the other coaches have, and also for the players to know what the future holds. I think it's very, very important for the club to identify the pathway and to follow that pathway. I think the longer that we went without identifying a coach, the more speculation is that maybe we didn't know the direction that we wanted to go in, but we were very clear in the direction that we wanted to go, and we got the individual that we were after. And it's a positive move for everyone. Also for players, it's accountability.
How much convincing had to take place for him to take this job, considering the timing of his season being underway?
None. He's been offered several other jobs in MLS to the best of my knowledge, and he felt this was the right situation, the right club. And for him, the timing could have obviously been a little bit better, but the timing, we've made the most of it. He's going to stay at Akron, he's going to finish out that season, and we're going to be able to pick his brain throughout the process.
Because you had said earlier that you've been chasing this particular candidate a while, so I was wondering as far as that courtship process went.
While what I would say is chasing within the last 2 weeks is chasing. The interview process, it started very, very early, and this was an individual that I think we met right at the very start of the process, and there's been continual meetings, continual conversations, and a lot of homework gone into it.
Once you identified him as the guy you wanted, how much sort of bargaining in terms of salary was there?
I think that doesn't need to be commented on. What I would say is we had to make the situation right, and he was on a very good deal with Akron, so this is something that he obviously believes in. He's not doing it for financial reasons, he's doing it because there's a level of belief in the organisation, the direction of the organisation. And for him to have been offered several other jobs in MLS that are more storied clubs than the Timbers, I think it's a great sign that the Timbers are very well respected in the soccer community.
Yeah. Based on the first coach, was there security issues with his level of comfort at Akron, and a certain amount of assurances needed to kind of bridge that gap?
No security issues whatsoever. I've known the individual for quite some time. The soccer world's a very small place, and unfortunately, coaching, you always talk about, is it a rented position, is it not? And with Caleb, I think the mindset that we're trying to develop is any coach that comes into a club has to look at it like a 10-year position and look to build for that time span. Obviously, we want results, we want success, but for Caleb, he's gone and he's built a very good program in Akron. He's dealt with foreign players, he's dealt with new players, he's developed players. There's a lot of things that we've ticked off with him, and with Caleb, he has to be given time to get the players that he wants and also to play the way that we want. So security wasn't a big thing for him, it was the opportunity that he relished.
Known about this?
Since today.
Forget it, man. What are your thoughts on playing for your college coach down here at the pro level?
It's going to be great. He's one of the best coaches I've ever had, and he did great for a lot of players that were there. And Akron did a good job at Akron also. He's a great coach, loves to attack. Most of all, he's a great guy.
Have you talked to him at all? Sent him any texts or anything?
No, not yet. I just got done with practice, so I haven't talked to him yet.
What makes him great? Why is he special? Why is he such an influence on you?
Yeah, just for me personally, he was a great guy to me. Met when I was 17, and he's been there for me ever since. But a great coach, loves to attack. he's going to be honest with everything he does. He's an honest guy, and he's a winner most of all, and he teaches the game. He has a great philosophy of the game also.
Do you think that his coaching style will be able to transition from college kids to Major League Soccer players?
Yeah, definitely. We got a lot of talented guys there. He's actually with us, so a lot of talented guys here. A lot of them also
How did he help in your
he simplified the game for me, made everything easier. Had the right guys around there on the team, and everyone knew their roles, so everything just got easier.
What's his style with you? Yellow, or is he more of a down earth guy? What's his style when the game's on the line and you go against point guards?
He's a calm guy. He's going to keep us calm, but as any coach, he can be out there and be a yeller sometimes, but it just depends on what the game's going.
Brian, why has he been able to attract and develop so many top-flight players over the last 4 or 5 years with Mark Loney, yourself, Maddox, Gary Fisher? What's the attraction to him? What does he do?
I feel like every single one of us that went to Akron trusted him, so if you trust someone and believe in them, they'll help you out.
What was he doing tactically? I mean, how did he help you from a better player? What did he do?
Just painted a picture. He made it simple for all of us. As kids coming to the program and then leaving the program. From the point we got in there, he just made it easier for us. Whether it's painting pictures, attacking wise, and just functional, just walking through things with every single player they needed.
Have you talked to him at all over the last couple of months during this process?
He just told me good game, and watched a lot of games. Obviously, he just told me good game, and overall, just simple talk.
So you had no idea that he was a candidate, or did you?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knew he was a candidate, so obviously I knew that.
And I mean, how much, did you sort of lobby for him, Gavin, or did you?
No, I didn't say anything to Gavin about anyone. I was just like everyone else, just waiting to see who it was.
Has every teammate come to you, trying to pick your brain, figure out who he is as a coach?
Yeah, just what kind of guy he is, what kind of coach he is, and still wasn't sure.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.